Long before Batman was this dark, mysterious and somewhat feared vigilante, he was a comedic goofball back in the 1960s played by the late Adam West. It certainly was a different time, adapting the comic books with a much more self-aware and fun nature. This led to a movie in 1966, and this film was actually intended to be the pilot for the TV series. However, they managed to get ahead of schedule for the show so much that the TV series actually aired first, and as it rose in popularity, as did the hype for the feature film. Adam West was actually reluctant to sign on to the movie as the TV series had such a hectic work schedule, but he was told that the film was going ahead anyway with or without him. To prevent the character being recast, he quickly agreed and it was on, but only if he could have more scenes as Bruce Wayne. It was naturally well received by the fans of the show, and a sequel was even given afterwards, but by then the second series had outlived its welcome and the popularity was diminishing, so it never materialized. The film put comic book movies to shame long before their time by having all four villains, the Joker played by Cesar Romero, the Riddler played by Frank Gorshin, the Penguin played by Burgess Meredith, and Catwoman played by Lee Merriweather, kidnap a Commodore from his yacht and steal his invention, a dehydrator that can turn humans to dust, as we all need at some point in the day.
This could be tricky.
The thing to know beforehand with this show and movie is just how silly Batman was viewed back then, long before Tim Burton got his hands on it. And it's just fun. The opening credits are so damn wholesome and sweet, they're just trying to have a good time. They literally have an instant costume change lever. It's hilariously brilliant. They're fully self-aware in all of the ridiculous plot elements and low budget. I mean, look at this! He's fighting a shark up a ladder with the worst effects I have ever seen. What makes it funnier is that the producers were unhappy with the sounds that Batman made when he was punching the shark. And Adam West actually said, does it really matter when it looks that fake? It's even funnier that the music is so serious, like this is a legitimately intense action scene.
Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray.
What makes the comedy that much better is that it's delivered 100% straight-faced and serious, to the point I sometimes question whether or not it was even intentional.
What, the Riddler loose too?
So it seems, loose to plague us with his criminal conundrums.
The Riddler has all of these riddles that are impossible to solve, but of course they do it in seconds, and it's treated so seriously, and it makes it brilliant.
What weighs 6 ounces sits in a tree and is very dangerous.
A sparrow with a machine gun.
What has yellow skin and rights?
A ballpoint banana.
Right.
I mean, the villains literally ride umbrella broomsticks. One of their goons turns into a crash test dummy and bounces out the window and explodes in the sea. There's a scene where Batman finds a bomb and it is hilarious. He has to get rid of it, but there are members of the public everywhere, so he literally spends about 5 minutes running around with the world's slowest bomb ever. It's amazing.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
The humor is so self-aware, it is fantastic. Riddler manages to hit their chopper with his skywriting and it knocks them out of the sky onto a mat of foam rubber.
Landing right on top of a bed of foam rubber.
Yes, Robin. I'd say the odds against it would make even the most reckless gambler cringe.
Hell, they scale a wall and you can clearly see the wires holding their capes in place because the shot is so obviously flipped. This was actually put in deliberately. They were fully aware of the goofiness. Just look at the special effects. They're so cheesy and bad, yet somehow wonderful. Although annoyingly, they just add the word bat to absolutely everything.
Bat spray.
Bat cave.
Bat camera.
Bat filter.
Bat
tote. The Batmobile.
Batarang.
Bat scanner.
Bat signal. Bat paint. Bat rope.
Bat pellets. Bat weight. Bat speed.
Bat gas.
Bat charges via bat cycle to the bat copter.
Bat scanner.
Bat radio. Bat cuffs.
Bat centrifuge.
Oh, and Robin has a really annoying tendency to...
Holy sardine! Holy nightmare! Holy Merlin the magician! Holy Long John Silver! Holy Glowpot! Holy Polaris! Holy demolition! Holy Halloween! Holy heart failure! Holy costume party! Holy hallucination! Holy horseshoe! Holy marathon! Holy Captain Nemo! Holy bikini! Holy heartbreak! Holy almost! Holy jumble!
Do that. Don't get me wrong, some of it genuinely does look great for its time as they head to the yacht to try to make the save, but the editing is a bit sloppy. Batman is just over it about to land and then it cuts to him going in the sea. Now we later find out that the yacht was just a mirage and they were tricked, so it basically vanished, but it's very difficult to figure out what the hell just happened because of the weird editing.
I don't get it,
Think,
Batman.
Robin. As you truly remarked, no one can make a seagoing vessel simply disappear.
Robin didn't say that, you did.
Nonsense. How can a yacht simply disappear?
Catwoman in disguise tries to get them to unmask, and they go off on this whole speech about their secret identities.
If Robin and I were to remove our masks, the secret of our true identities would be revealed.
Not even Commissioner Gordon and myself know who they really are.
In fact, our own relatives we live with don't know.
How does nobody recognize them? They don't even attempt to hide their voice. In fact, Robin barely even hides his face. Like, oh look, I'm not cinematic Venom. What? Who's that?
Hello. Batman speaking.
Really? You sound an awfully lot like Bruce Wayne. We get a roll call for the villains, and the way they figure out that they're all working together is so forced and contrived, I love it.
Pretty fishy what happened to me on that ladder.
You mean where there's a fish, there could be a penguin?
But wait, it happened at sea. See? See for Catwoman.
Yet, that exploding shark was pulling my leg.
The Joker. It all adds up to a sinister riddle. Riddle-er.
It is great though to see all of the villains together, and they are amazing in their respective roles. Specifically Cesar Romero, he was an underrated gem. Although I swear Frank Gorshin acts more like the Joker than the Riddler.
He couldn't finish a bag of popcorn.
So despite knowing who's responsible, Batman and Robin head to this buoy to try to find fingerprints, but the villains are somehow magically now underwater in their submarine, who then decide to fire torpedoes at the heroes that are about 7,000 miles away. Batman does manage to use this device to prematurely detonate them, but then the batteries die and they still somehow survive.
It was noble of that animal to hurl himself into the path of that final torpedo.
Such a cop-out! How'd you even get off the magnet? The villains plan to take over the world, but decide to kidnap a millionaire to use as bait, and of course they choose Bruce Wayne. Oh, and Bruce ends up asking out Catwoman, who's pretending to be a woman named Miss Kitka. Bruce's genius detective work is really hit and miss in this film. Not only do they not put two and two together considering it's Kitka and Catwoman, but while he's out with her, Robin is watching them and decides to set off the bat signal to lead the criminals into believing that they're safe to go and attack. Now, what's weird is that Bruce spots the signal and somehow figures out that that's Robin's plan. Oh yeah, he can figure that out. He can work out all of these ridiculously impossible riddles, but he can't figure out that Catwoman is Miss Kitka. In fact, they kidnap him and he still doesn't figure it out. They blindfold him and she pretends to be Miss Kitka again and he still falls for it. He escapes and comes back as Batman and still hasn't worked it out. But yet, when Penguin tries to disguise himself...
Holy costume party, that's the Penguin.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, that's obvious, but not Catwoman. How silly of me. But when they kidnap him, the choreography is so dated now. But you know what? It still holds up a lot of charm, so credit for that. In fact, he's even smart enough that they concoct a plan where they let Penguin steal their car so they can track him to their hideout. How are they so clever one minute and then so dense the next? I mean, maybe it's just me, but doesn't it kind of give away their identities if Robin is seen driving around with Bruce Wayne's butler? Or are those goggles like Clark Kent's glasses? Oh, and Bruce Wayne is also the worst kisser in the world. And because of this, Robin gives them some privacy and stops watching, and the kidnap literally takes place even though when they leave, Robin hears them but didn't hit them arrive. Okay.
Who else but a genius could conceive such an audacious plot to deliberately trick Batman and Robin into inviting me into their secret Batcave?
How does anyone know that a Batcave exists? Surely only Batman, Robin, and Alfred would know. Does Batman just go around telling people everything?
You risked your life to save that riffraff in the bar?
They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
What's wrong with drinkers? I feel attacked.
Gosh, drink is sure a filthy thing, isn't it? I'd rather be dead than unable to trust my own eyes.
Once they immediately recognize Penguin, he actually continues the facade as if he hasn't been caught out, which in of itself is pretty damn hilarious. They gas him and take him to the Batcave to prove his identity, and once promising to keep their eyes on him, of course they don't, and he brings back people that he dehydrated. But it fails and then they vanish again. kind of a waste of time. The villains do one thing right though. They decide to dehydrate all the world leaders and they start with Russia.
Stop, I said!
I don't think you mean that, Batman. Miss Kitka dies if you take one more step.
She doesn't know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Batman has literally not interacted with Miss Kitka once in this entire movie. The classic fights with the comic book sound effects and visuals are brilliant. Yeah, they're dated now, but you gotta love them. I don't quite get why Catwoman carries around a cat for the whole film, by the way. It doesn't do anything, and even during this fight, she throws it to Batman and it doesn't scratch him or anything. He just carries it around awkwardly. I honestly think it was just so we could hear Batman say the word pussy.
Bon voyage, pussy.
And then Catwoman gives the most unconvincing trip ever for the least shocking reveal ever. Why is he just staring? Adam, we're rolling? Even after the big fight is won, the original Commodore stumbles in and accidentally murders all of the world leaders, so we get this scene of Batman and Robin trying desperately to save the dehydrated remains. Sorry, but Batman in this getup over the Batsuit is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. There's just a whole lot of build-up for this ending that isn't particularly interesting. It should have just ended with the submarine fight. They also end up saving them, but swapping all of their bodies around, and they don't even care.
Let's go.
Batman just walks off and leaves it. Not my problem. Honestly, this is the hardest I have laughed in a long time. This movie is great, and it does make me want to watch the TV series a lot more. It's goofy and silly and over the top, and it absolutely shines at it. It's charming, wonderful, ridiculous, insane, idiotic, but hilarious and brilliant. Don't go in expecting the dark Batman we've come to love, and you will have an absolute blast.